now it is time to welcome in our guest. His name is Scott Springer, and he covers the Cincinnati Bearcats for the Enquirer, Cincinnati.com. Scott, can you hear me? How's it going? Thanks for making some time.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can, yes. We are live,
Oh
and
my
we are
God,
ready to
we got
rock.
a show now.
How about it? Well, Scott, I appreciate you stopping by. I really wanted to get your thoughts here on this game on Friday between the Cincinnati Bearcats and, of course, the Louisville Cardinals. These teams haven't played since 2022. UC actually got the better of Louisville there in that matchup. Louisville's the top 10 team. I think they very much could win the national title, and the backcourt, obviously, is something that has gotten a lot of storylines this week. What are some of the things that UC needs to do in this game to the point where there's 5 minutes left and they have an opportunity to potentially pull off a huge upset? What are all the things that need to go right for UC?
Well, against Dayton, they had 24 turnovers, so I'm
Ooh.
guessing that's not a very good idea right there. So take care of the basketball. They want to play fast. Pat Kelsey wants to play fast. So maybe this is a game where they dial it down a little bit. I don't know. It's not something they necessarily want to do. They're kind of dedicated to playing fast. They did cut it to 10 turnovers in the last game, but obviously, with Louisville, you want to guard the perimeter because those guys can knock them down. And folks around here remember Ryan Conwell at Xavier. I remember him at Indiana State in the NIT against UC, knocking shots down. And he's career-wise, he's over 40% from three-point range. So there's him, McNeely, their other guy from Virginia, Brown Jr., Michael Brown. He knocks them down. They have a lot of weapons, and they keep getting more. And Pat's done a heck of a job since he's been there. ACC Coach of the Year. I think he's 8 wins away from 300 on his career. He said he doesn't want to talk about that, but I bet he talks about it to somebody because why wouldn't you? That's a lot.
No doubt about that. You talked about those guards, right? Conwell, obviously, from Xavier, and Michael Brown, who really in college basketball, there's a ton of really good freshmen this year, and he might be at the top of that list. From a defensive perspective, how do you think Wes Miller is going to try to attack those guards? Because, Day-Day scored a lot of points for you, but do you feel good about him kind of going up against Michael Brown, or is that maybe a Buck Harris assignment? How do you think they're going to tackle those guards?
Day played some good defense recently. Buck Harris is the guy that really energizes the guys. I don't think he's going to start because he's so effective coming off the bench with that instant energy. So, that's a good question. If I knew, I don't know if I'd tell Wes or not because maybe that would be a conflict of interest because I'm supposed to be objective here. But let's face facts. My job's easier when Cincinnati wins. So you always kind of root for the winner. I don't know if they can borrow Jim Boeheim's zone or what, because they're going to need something because these guys can light it up and number 6 in the nation, and they're averaging 103 points per game. A lot of teams don't score that in any one game, and they're averaging that. They put 96 on Kentucky. So they're going to score points. It's just a matter, UC's going to either have to score with them if they're going to run or figure out a way to shut them down, or there's some word that the rims are tight at Heritage Bank, so maybe hope that the rims are tight. I don't know. Last year, and the problem too with that Heritage Bank game is it's not part of the season ticket package for the Bearcat fans. The prices are a little bit high. Wes Miller came out and said, hey, I don't like it that they're raising these ticket prices. And if you look at the ticket prices, on a normal game, for instance, UC Monday plays NJIT, New Jersey Institute of Technology, not necessarily the draw of Louisville by any means, but you can get an upstairs ticket for like $20 and change, whereas the cheapest ticket for Heritage Bank is listed at 45, but they're 45, 62, 89. Anything within the court is like 193 when I looked at it yesterday. My own kid bought tickets for my wife and his fiance, and I think they were 89 apiece. So it's a little expensive to go down there, but Louisville fans are pretty rabid. Don't be surprised if there's more Louisville fans, because 2 years ago they played this game with Dayton. The Dayton fans came out of the woodwork, and I thought it was 70-30, 60-40 at best in favor of Dayton. Last year, I think it was a little more even. But this year, I think you might see some Louisville fans there, and you might be surprised that you're going to be in your own hometown. But people will not necessarily be cheering for you. You'll have some, but not as many as you think. That's my guess.
You talk about Wes commenting on the ticket prices and how high they were. Obviously, there's a lot of people that are like, this game should be at Fifth Third. This game should be at the Yum Center. We don't need it to be, away from these campuses. What's kind of your take on that? And also, there is a very big high school football game at Paycor on Friday. There's some people that are worried that, well, maybe some of the fans are going to head that direction. Do you think that's a real possibility there as well?
Well, Pat Kelsey's an elder guy. He might have an earbud in and listen to the football game while he's coaching. So maybe that would help you see. I'm not sure. Yeah, the traffic just got a little more hairier. And, it's going to be a bit crazy. But the one thing I can say for the basketball game, I think there's rain in the forecast. So it's not going to rain inside Heritage Bank unless there's a major leak. So, stay inside and nice and warm and all that type thing. But why is it not a home and home? I asked him that yesterday. Dayton did turn into a home and home. He didn't rule out this being that in the future, but next year the game goes to Freedom Hall. So what it is, it's an outside company coming in promoting a game. Theoretically, both teams will get some money, I guess, that they can use for NIL. And they're holding it at these venues because I'm guessing it's cheaper to hold it at these venues. And if they can charge whatever and make a profit, that's the bottom line for the promoter. I mean, the promoter's he's going to hope for a good game, but the bottom line, they want to make a buck.
We touched on Buck Harris a little bit. Obviously, he brings a lot of juice off the bench. He might be my favorite player on this team, to be completely honest with you. It feels like
he's an old school Bearcat.
Yes, no doubt. And he feels like he needs to have a really big game, whether it be defensively or just providing some juice, getting to the rim, making a big play. Do you agree with that? Do you think he needs to be really sharp here in this game for Cincinnati to have a chance?
Well, it'd be very helpful, and he needs to stay out of foul trouble. He's had some foul trouble in some of the games. But some of that, too, is, and Wes has said this, that, coaches and other players will lobby referees before the game. Watch out for that Sincere Harris. He's got hands all over the place. So people do that, and sometimes you get a call that way. That's not the way it should work. But, if he can stay out of foul trouble and be disruptive and get some steals. But, hey, Louisville's a good defensive team, too. Their last 4 games, I think they had 12 steals in their first game and 11 in the next 3. And so they get the hands on the basketball also. So as far as you see, you want to get some of these long-armed guys out there on the perimeter and see if they can swat some of these things away, because they can shoot. If you've seen Ryan Conwell, right, he can shoot.
Day Thomas, obviously a completely new look team for Cincinnati. He's the one guy that does come back. I thought his role would look a lot different than it does currently. He obviously led the team in scoring last year, and I thought he would kind of take a backseat a little bit to that, but they've needed him to score these past couple of games. What's kind of your take on that? Were you a little bit surprised that they're asking him to score so much, or is that kind of what you expected?
Well, I think he recognizes he's the guy now. He's the one guy that played consistently from last year. Halveen got into some games late, and McKinley was injured. So, Day-Day's your one guy that played with Wes and knows, how Wes plays and what's going on and all that. So I think he stepped up and scored some. His shot improved dramatically last year, made some key shots, and he's very good at creating a shot and making a big shot. So you like that. The other guys, Abayev's got all the talent in the world, and he's not shy from shooting it when he's not hitting. So he's got a great future and all that. But and Kirk Reese is another veteran. His shot has not been on of late. It seems like he hits 1 or 2 early and then cools down. But he's a tough dude. He'll take charges, and he plays with a lot of heart and all that. So you need that. The 2 big guys have been fine. Baba Miller particularly. He's averaging a double-double. He only missed a double-double. I think he had 8 points and 10 rebounds in the third game. So that was Mount St. Mary's, I think. I'm cheating here looking at my stuff. Or that was the Dayton game.
Yeah.
Yeah. But every other game, double-double. And so I think he's like 15.8, 10.5 rebounds. And he can just do some things inside. So, maybe this is a game where you got to rely on the inside scoring against Louisville. I don't know. I mean, they're just a tough draw. I mean, I agree they're a national championship contender, and they had a great portal class. And Pat Kelsey he's really happy to come to the building. He was telling me that years ago his dad took him to the building when it was called the Riverfront Coliseum, which old people like me, we still say the Coliseum. And he saw some big games at the Coliseum that really turned him on to basketball. And he told me that he went home and got some cardboard and spread it out in his basement and made his own personal Riverfront Coliseum. So, and some of the early shootouts that he saw took place down there, because at one point that was UC's floor for a while. Xavier was at the Gardens and Cincinnati played downtown. And really back then, the Bearcats would only sell out if they were playing Xavier or maybe Louisville or one year Memphis came in with a pretty good ranked team. But other than that, I mean, heck, when I was in school, you had to get on a bus and come down, or you drove yourself down, and you were there with 2,000 of your close personal friends watching the Bearcats and struggled to a 500 record.
Scott Springer joining us, Cincinnati.com and the Inquirer live here on the show. You always talk about a fast start. It's obviously important in each and every game, but it kind of feels like this game more so than ever. I think if UC's in a spot where they're down like 12-2 and they got to pop off a timeout, they might just be kind of cooked at that point. How important is it for Cincinnati to get off to a fast start here on Friday?
It's important, but in basketball, I mean, teams go on runs, and when they play as fast as Cincinnati and Louisville, teams can come back. You look at the Michigan game, even though it was an exhibition, you're watching that in the first half, you're going, holy crap, they might have a team. They're blowing the doors off of Michigan. But Michigan came back. Now, if you remember watching the game, Michigan had kept their starters in, and West was going in and out with some of his guys. So it gets close. UC wins that game. It doesn't matter. It's kind of like the Ohio State game the year before. They looked great, maybe the best they played all year long, and then it wasn't quite the same. So you got to figure out, how to scout up Louisville, and this is a great test, because you got Louisville, you got Xavier coming up, you've got Clemson coming up, you got Georgia, all in the non-conference, and then the Big 12. So Big 12 is a war night in and night out. So you might as well start playing these guys early rather than, building up a 15-0 record against East-West directional state.
Turnovers obviously have been a huge issue for the team this year. A lot was made kind of over the summer and coming into the year about kind of a change in philosophy. They were going to play a lot faster than they ever have here under Wes Miller. Do you think that has potentially contributed to some of these mistakes? But you see a lot of them. It's a lot of just mental errors, like traveling violations, double dribbles. What do you think has been the root of the issue as far as all the turnovers go?
Well, Wes has said in practice it wasn't an issue prior to these upcoming games, but there again, in practice you don't have 9,000-10,000 people watching you and all that, right, and all the pressure and stuff. So that's probably part of it. I think it's human nature for young people. Their mind gets a little ahead of their body and their reactions. I mean, it happens to me sometimes. I'll be wanting to do something. I don't know. It's just something in the wiring, I guess. But you can't throw the ball away 24 times and expect to win. And they were like 15, 16 the first couple of games, and they dropped it down to 10. But he said that he's recognized just like some casual, careless turnovers and things like that. So it's something that they hope to correct. They did correct it by 14 in the last game. If you can force more on the other end, maybe that helps some too. But yeah, you can't throw the ball out of bounds. It's always good to know that the guy you're throwing to is wearing the same jersey.
Mustafa Cham, he kind of broke out a little bit in the second half this past game against Mount St. Mary's. I think really when you look at Louisville, obviously their guards are their strength. If there's one weakness, it's if they're getting to the rim, maybe you can block some shots. Do you think Mustafa is going to be in a spot where he could really have an impact on this game? Because I think he needs to really play well if they want to have a chance.
Yeah, he has to be a little bit more aggressive in my book. Some games he hasn't looked as involved as you would like. Now, I've seen him play really well when he was at UCF at times. So, and the guy can shoot, and you really can't leave him out on the three-point line. He can make those every now and then. So he's a threat. I think he had 4 blocks the last game. Miller had 4 blocks. If you get 4 blocks a game out of those guys, that's going to be very helpful. But both of those guys are going to have to be really involved and stay out of foul trouble. Because one area where you're missing a bit with UC is in the post, because I think Jalen Haynes, the guy from George Mason, would have really helped him. Different body shape, bigger, wider guy. Actually has lost a ton of weight. I think he told me he's down to 240. I think when they signed him, he was 265. So he looks a lot better. But the guy is injured, and they're hoping to get him back maybe later in the season, or maybe get him a medical redshirt or something. But he's a guy that would have given you more depth. The last game, McKinley, I don't know if he injured his knee again or not, but they took him out as a precaution because something wasn't feeling right. And so you had to go with Halvin Zella, who tries his best and has his moments, but McKinley's probably a hair better, and obviously Jalen Haynes would be somebody. They pursued him in the portal, so he's somebody that would have helped them out a lot. So when Miller and Chom go out of the game, you need to have guys in there that are going to clean the glass and do the jobs. And so we'll see how that goes. Quite honestly, I don't know a ton about Louisville's big men. I know they have some. I'm guessing they're not half bad, or otherwise they wouldn't be at Louisville.
Sean Abayev, obviously a big-time recruit. I think the highest profile recruit since Lance Stevenson, if I'm not mistaken there. How would you evaluate his performance so far this year? And do you think his role could potentially change at all? Not necessarily, like he hasn't played bad. I'm not saying he should go to the bench, but maybe that could provide them some kind of spark if he did transition to the bench. Is that something that could be a possibility? And just your overall thoughts on his performance to this point.
Well, I'm not privy to the agreements they make with players when they sign them and all that. My guess would be that Sean is a starter to stay.
Yeah.
When he's on, look out. I mean, because he can take over a game and change momentum. Even in the last game when UC finally took the lead in that game, that they had a trouble with Mount St. Mary's. By the way, Mount St. Mary's took Maryland to overtime last night.
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe they're not bad. But, Abayev had a big tomahawk slam that got the crowd going. He's got a great step-back three. I'm getting messages on my computer here. I'm guessing you're not concerned about the newsroom potluck, but I had an update on that. I'll let you know what I'll bring. Anyway, back to Sean. I got to see him last year at Overtime Elite before UC played Georgia Tech, and he does put up a lot of shots, but there's so much he can do. I mean, he essentially is a 6'8" point guard. He can run the point if you need him to. And he's a matchup problem if you've got a guard on him inside. So I think he just needs more game time and confidence. But, I got to say, the first game against Michigan, it's like, gee whiz, he looks the same as he did against the high school guys.
Yeah.
So he's someone that's going to stay. Is he going to leave for the NBA? I don't know. Maybe that's the plan. But right now, I think he's got a ways to go. The best NBA prospect I see is Baba Miller.
Yeah,
talked to Fran Fraschilla before the season because he came out to one of their dinners that they had, before the season, a preseason deal, and gave a speech. But he said, talking to his NBA contacts, Miller is the top NBA prospect for the Bearcats right now. Miller, Chom, Abayev would be your top three.
Last one for you, Scott, before we get out of here. Got to ask you about the football team. Obviously, disappointing loss to Arizona. Got BYU this week. Huge game. Your overall thoughts on that? Do you think the Cats have a chance on Saturday?
Well, they're home, and it's senior night, and that helps. They wanted to play nip at night. The kids are always liking the nip at night. And you got the big noon kickoff at 10 a.m., so anyone that's having some libation in the morning, you've got 8 hours to correct yourself before kickoff. BYU is very, very good. One loss to Texas Tech, who's extremely good. Brendan Sorsby has to have better games. I don't think he's been 100% here recently. I know most of the seniors that came back, the Gavin Gerhardts and Dante Corleones and like that, they all said, hey, we came back because it left a bad taste in our mouth last year to lose 5 straight after you were 5-2, lose 5 straight and not make a bowl game. So we want to come back and fix that. Well, they're going to go to a bowl. Right now, it's what bowl are you going to go to? Are you going to be a 7-5 team, an 8-4, or 9-3? I think if you lose the next two, you lose a lot of momentum. So it's all there for the taking for them on Saturday night, because you've got the national spotlight in the morning, you've got the national spotlight again that night, senior night. So if you can figure out a way to stop Bear Bachmeyer and figure out a way to not throw the ball to the other team or cough it up, you got a chance, because this team has played pretty good in spots, and even in the Utah game, there were parts of the game that okay, they're in it, they're going to come back. Arizona game probably hurts the most, because that was one that they really should have won and really didn't take advantage of. So that could come back to bite them. So could they win? I think they could. Realistically, they make me make predictions here at the Inquirer, so I did not predict them to win.
Yeah.
But I'm always happy to be wrong, because, again, it makes my job easier when a Cincinnati team wins. It's just, life's a lot easier.
No doubt, no doubt. Well, Scott, I appreciate you. Let everybody know where they can find all your great work over at the Inquirer, Cincinnati.com, and on social media there as well.
Yeah, I'm actually in the building today. I snuck into this little office, so
Okay.
I'm sorry I don't have great decorations like I would have. But 312 Plum we are. Okay, S. Springer Sports on X,
Yep.
S. Springer Sports, and then Cincinnati.com. You can find me, and I think on Instagram, it's I think that's S. Springer Sports too. You might see some vacation photos or something on there, but there's some silly videos and whatever nonsense that I do, because this beats working. I don't have any other marketable skills, so I might as well go watch ball games.
I love it. I'm right there with you, by the way, as well. Well, Scott, I appreciate you making some time. I know it's a busy week. Thanks so much for coming on, and would love to do it again, man. Thank you.
All righty. Thank you.